A Helium Inc. run Denylist has been announced by Helium CEO and co-founder Amir Helium. His announcement comes following a discussion in one of the Helium Discord channels that is more technical in nature. This revelation is one of the biggest surprises I can remember in Helium's history. This Denylist was not announced to the community until just a few days ago for a variety of reasons. The main reason being that if gamers' earnings are disappearing and they do not know why, then it is very difficult for them to fix it. Of course, the questions remain. Should Helium Inc. have that much power? And what is the percentage of miners that are put on this list that are not actually gaming? Gaming is perhaps the biggest obstacle for Helium right now, and it is great to see Amir Helium super involved and responsive, as he always is, and Helium taking action to stop the gamers. But is this the type of action that is best for Helium? It appears Amir does not believe that it is, but it takes time for effective decentralized action to be brought to market, and Helium believed that they had to act fast. Subsequently, there are now two new Helium votes that end today. They both relate to the Helium run Denylist. Let's take a look at some of the details in today's video. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on the Crypto Compound channel. This is perhaps one of the most urgent videos we have ever had on the channel, as there is a super serious vote that ends today. Two votes ending today that pertain to a super sensitive, super important vote. Of course, we're going to go over those details in today's video. We just discovered all of this news just very recently. Here is Amir Helium's announcement in the Discord announcements channel, which is regarding the Helium run Denylist that has been going on. Also, I just want to mention, I have finally learned that the Denylist is pronounced Denylist and not Denylist. So hit the like button if you guys are proud of me. So today's video, we're going to talk about those details. I'm going to put a link to this vote down below. It is super, super important to vote. As you can see, there are about 12 hours left on these two votes that are both regarding the Denylist. We'll go over some of the results as they stand right now. However, let's take a look at what is actually going on. As you guys know, Helium gaming is getting worse and worse as it becomes more profitable for the gamers. It has become now on an institutional level where this gaming is happening, where there are actual companies that are gaming the network, earning HNT rewards without providing real coverage. I have seen some people ask what gaming is, what spoofing is. That is what it is. It is earning HNT rewards without actually providing legitimate coverage to the Helium network. They are stealing Helium rewards that should be going to real hotspot owners, real people who are deploying these hotspots properly. It is a huge problem, and it is eating at the rewards, and the rewards are the incentive driver of the network, which is effectively what really creates the network growth and the network expansion, which leads to network value. So it is really hurting the value of the Helium network by allowing these institutions and these gamers to operate on the network. The problem is, of course, it is super difficult to find a really decentralized, effective way to attack these gamers. So this is what Amir is addressing here. As you can see, he says, in response to recent comments in the DIY Packet Forwarder channel, I am compelled to address the conversation surrounding network gaming and Denylist or blacklists and what is being done about it. He goes on to say, Helium's mission has always been to build a global contiguous network with the help of our community and the HNT incentive mechanism. We have created a useful global network. However, as the network has grown, so too has the prevalence of malicious activity and institutional cheating. This activity is an attack on the network. It seeks to game the system with the sole intent of exploiting proof of coverage rewards without providing any real value to the network. He goes on to say that this type of gaming has always existed. However, until recently, no major action was needed. He continues to say, however, in December, network gaming grew to a point where I felt that honest hotspots, hosts, and the integrity of the network were at a material risk. At my instruction, I asked Helium Inc. developers to build a network protection mechanism to prevent malicious actors and other forms of institutional gaming from stealing any more rewards. Ahead of Hip40, we planned to operate this mechanism until the community installed a community-governed moderation process. We have no desire to moderate a Denylist unless entrusted with this role by the community through a governance process. And we have no desire to keep code proprietary, which is why we're planning to open source everything, including the set of analysis scripts used today and data infrastructure that manages the Denylist after the regulating community process is in place. We acknowledge, however, that scripting these kinds of solutions can lead to some mistakes, which recently hurt some good hotspot deployment. We've since made some improvements that we believe remove innocent actors from the list. These tests resulted in a lot of learning, which will help the community as responsibility moves to the DY and the anti-gaming committee driven by the community. This brings us to Hip40. So guys, as you can see, he did ask, and by he, I'm talking about Helium, the CEO and co-founder of Helium, did ask Helium to create a deny list, which then they put on these malicious actors and these institutional cheaters onto that list. He acknowledges that through that process, some innocent Helium hotspot hosts were impacted, and they worked to get those people obviously off of the deny list as soon as possible. But this, of course, is the problem with a centralized and controlled deny list from Helium. That is why Hip40 is in place. Hip40 is effectively trying to get a committee-run public deny list set up and running that can be governed by effectively by the community and a committee of people that are elected and that are put onto that committee. Hip40 is a critical hip. However, it is not passed just yet. And as you can see, Amir said that in December, network gaming grew to a point where I felt the honest hotspot host and the integrity of the network were at a material risk. So he did go in before Hip40 was able to be fully implemented. He did go in and create this deny list. Now that is where it gets super tricky, and some people will not like that. However, he does acknowledge that he knows the risks that are associated, and he knows the reasons why it is not favorable. However, they are doing their best to protect the integrity of the network from these institutional cheaters. Now, as you can see, he goes on to discuss Hip40. My hope is that Hip40 passes and the DY staffs up to govern all anti-gaming. When this happens, Helium will hand over the responsibility and code so that the community can self-govern. Testing and implementing anti-gaming techniques should be a decision and action taken by the community. Additionally, it should be known that we've donated 1.5 million HNT to the DY to drive and fund community endeavors such as anti-gaming and network expansion. We will continue to donate resources to the foundation as this is an important issue that will need continuous monitoring and improvements. He goes on to say, I was and still am acting in the best interests of the network, and I stand by my actions. As the core founders of the Helium blockchain, I felt it was necessary to create and implement the tooling so that the network can build more efficiently. Centralized controls for anti-gaming go against everything we stand for, but I felt that it was a necessary action to protect the good actors as well as the integrity of the Helium network overall. The deny list and the detection tools behind it have been an extraordinarily effective weapon against institutionalized forms of gaming, such as large-scale attenuators and resistor network. Now, he goes on to explain the two votes that he has proposed as a response to him announcing this actual deny list that was run by Helium after he already says it goes against everything Helium stands for by them running those deny lists. Now, these two questions down here are listed in the form of votes here on heliumvote.com with only 12 hours left, so make sure to vote. Of course, should Helium Inc. continue to manage the deny list that is embedded in minor images until such time that a Hip40 implementation is approved, or if Hip40 is rejected by the community? And should Hip Inc. publish the current deny list, even though it may allow existing gaming hotspots to change their setups to avoid being detected? Guys, we're going to go through those two votes right now, and we are going to discuss how I will be voting. So guys, here are the two votes. It is very interesting to see the vast difference in response from them. We will start with one being the publish temporary hotspot deny list. This is Helium asking if they should publish the current deny list, even though it may allow existing gaming hotspots to change their setups to avoid being detected. Now, in my personal opinion, I am certainly going to vote no for this. I do not want the gamers and the institutions to know the mechanisms that Helium was using to try and detect their hotspots as being gamed. If we scroll down, we can see that this is a much closer vote in the preliminary results than the next vote we will look at. As you can see, it's only 64% are in for publishing the hotspot deny list. Now, of course, the downside to this is if they do not publish the hotspot deny list, I do not know how you find out if your hotspot is actually on that list. That, of course, is a huge, huge problem. And if I was somebody that my hotspot got kicked off and I had no idea why and I couldn't fix it, I would be completely furious. Now, that is a problem that Helium is going to have to address and somehow have to go one by one at every single Helium hotspot on that deny list and confirm 100% that they are not gaming. However, that being said, I think it is even more important, I think it is for the greater good to not let these institutional gamers know how they're being caught. Because once they know how they are being caught, they will spend the time, money, energy to change that mechanism to no longer fall within the umbrella that they are being caught through, because there is so much money at risk now for them, because Helium and H&T is now so valuable and the price has increased so dramatically. It is very important that they do not know how they are being detected. Now, this brings us to the second vote: maintain temporary hotspot deny list. Should Helium Inc. continue to temporarily manage the deny list that is embedded in minor images until such time that Hip40 implementation is approved, or if Hip40 is rejected by the community? Now, in my opinion, I think that until Hip40 is either voted for or rejected against by the community, I do think that Helium should continue to operate this deny list. It is clear that through Amir's own words and communication through the channel, and it is very clear, we could spend hours going through every single one of his comments here, but it is very clear that his intentions are 100% for the integrity of the Helium network, as they have always been, and for the decentralization of it. However, as he mentioned, it is super important that Helium got involved when they did, because the impacts of gaming was becoming so material. So I personally do trust Helium to run and maintain this deny list themselves until Hip40 is approved or rejected. So I am going to be voting to temporarily maintain the deny list, and it's clear that 95% of people do agree with that. Very different than the other vote. So in summary, I'm going to vote here for temporarily maintaining the for Helium to temporarily maintain the deny list, because I think that is super, super important, and I do trust them to do the right thing. And I'm also going to vote to not publish. I'm going to vote against, which is clearly the less favorable option here. I am going to definitely vote against publishing the hotspot deny list, because I want it to be as hard for gamers to game the network as possible. Guys, we went through a lot in today's video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know down below what you're experiencing on your rewards, if you think you might have got caught up in the deny list that is out there right now. But guys, this is a huge, maybe the biggest news for Helium that I can remember, especially considering it is basically a surprise that they were maintaining this deny list. But guys, let me know your comments below. Make sure to vote. We only have 12 hours left from the recording of this video to vote. Make sure you vote. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching until the end. That is all I have for today's video. Please leave your any comments down below, and please like this video to help spread the word and get people voting and get people aware that this is going on. Thank you all so much for being here, but that is all I have for today's video, and just like that, this video is over, and I will see you next time.